Butterflies are beautiful and amazing insects with many different colors and shapes, complex life cycles and migrations, and key roles to play in ecosystems. But the truth is that butterflies are in trouble. As crucial native hosts and nectar plants are removed, waterways and habitats polluted, and habitats changed by invasive plants and other human actions, butterflies decline, and ripple effects affect entire regions. If you're a bird like me, birds will also benefit from a butterfly garden, either directly for the butterflies and the butterflies' caterpillars, or indirectly via other insects, fruits, or seeds. In this video, I'll share 5 host plants for the southeastern US that support as many butterfly species at once as possible. Stick around for easy to grow bonus plants that attract other interesting butterflies. 5. Nasturtiums, peppergrass, violets, oaks, wild black cherry, and mallow. These 6 plants together host 10 species of butterflies. Great southern white and the introduced cabbage whites eat nasturtiums or native peppergrass. Great hairstreak and checkered skipper eat mallow species. Tiger swallowtail and red spotted admirals eat wild black cherry. Diana and great spangled fritillary eat violets, and southern hairstreak eats oak leaves, while red-banded hairstreaks feed on the fallen leaves of oaks. Nasturtiums may be non-native, but are widely cultivated and have no chance of successfully establishing and becoming invasive in the wild. Great southern white and cabbage whites use this plant as a host, but a great widely native and easy-to-grow alternative is peppergrass. Plants from the mallow family host the gray hairstreak and checkered skipper, with some species to consider for your backyard being swamp rose mallow, scarlet rose mallow, and halberd rose mallow. All of these perennial bushes will thrive in average yard soil, with occasional watering and full sun, and are great for a rain garden. Violets are extremely common, often viewed as weeds in urban areas, but are extremely important to 2 species of butterflies as host plants and mining bees that depend on their nectar to breed. The 2 butterfly species, the great spangled and Diana fritillaries, both lay their eggs at the base of violet plants that later hatch as black, orange-spined caterpillars that eat mostly at night. Some violets to consider are the common blue violet that is probably already present in your yard, the southern woodland violet, sweet violet, and the beautiful but hard to grow bird's foot violet. The gray hairstreak feeds on oak leaves, while the red-banded hairstreak, unique in the butterfly world, feeds on the fallen leaves of oaks during the fall months. While planting the oak tree can seem like a long-term investment, the tree will immediately start providing insect food for birds and a food source for hairstreaks, and over time start providing other resources such as nesting sites and acorns. Some oaks to consider for your yard or property are white oak, southern red oak, willows oak, nuttall's oak, and if you're willing to wait longer for a more impressive display, the beautiful and serene live oak. The eastern black cherry is a fast-growing tree that is beloved by birds for its fruits and used as a host plant by the tiger swallowtail and red-spotted admiral. Chances are that if you have a bird feeding station and a native plant no-mow area in your yard, you already have this tree, planted courtesy of the birds. Though it may take 5 to 10 years before this tree starts fruiting, it will already be a good host for the 2 species of butterflies that depend on it. 4. Hops, willows, nettles, and elms. 3 of these plant species feed mostly the same butterflies, the eastern common question mark, while hops and elms also feed the American snout, and nettles differ in the red admiral. Willows have a completely unique and beautiful selection of butterfly hosts, with the red-spotted admiral, viscerary, and mourning cloak. Elms may be hard to grow in a backyard setting, but you can at least grow a small species, such as the common winged elm, with its mesmerizing bark outgrowths. Alternatively, particularly if you're butterflyscaping a balcony, hops, a vine cultivated for brewing, also supports the same butterflies as elms, but it's not native to the southeast. Nettles will grow in a shady area in the backyard, but are prickly and fast growing, so a better option is a species of false nettle, as it still hosts the butterflies you want. Willows, despite the colorful butterflies they feed, are best not grown in backyards, as they need moist to wet soil and have large roots that gravitate to water, damaging water lines, septic systems, sidewalks, and foundations. They are best grown on large properties, particularly with creeks and streams, and in sunny areas. The black willow is one fast-growing native option with some ornamental appeal, as the dark foliage contrasts with the beautiful fuzzy yellow catkins. 3. Hackberry. Hackberries are the host plant for 5 species of butterflies, including 2 that only feed on it: American snout, eastern coma, question mark, tawny emperor, and hackberry emperor. Most hackberries are a little too big for backyards, growing quickly to 40 to 60 feet tall and being vulnerable to toppling over during strong storms. But some species, such as the native sugarberry, dwarf hackberry, and netleaf hackberry, are much smaller, rarely reaching 20 to 30 feet, particularly in urban settings. The 2 species that only feed on hackberries are the tawny and hackberry emperors. An additional advantage of hackberries are its fruits, which can be made into jams or left alone for the birds to eat. 2. Grasses. Grasses are surprisingly an important part of the butterfly garden, with many species, mainly skipper species from the gossamer family, feeding on them. The Zabuan skipper, a small orangish butterfly, feeds on the native bluestem and switchgrass, which can both serve as garden borders, the base for beautiful gardens intermixed with prairie wildflowers, and feed birds with their seeds in winter. The pepper and salt skipper feeds on Indian grass and Indian wood oats, the first being an important prairie grass that serves similar function to the previous. Indian grass may be a little too tall for the backyard, occasionally getting up to 7 feet, while the small, decorative Indian wood oats are unique in the fact that they prefer shaded areas and moist woodlands. Zebuan skippers, a very common skipper species, feed on native wild rye, meadow grasses, and salt grasses, with the first two being the best for their backyard. Little satyrs and common wood nymphs are small woodland butterflies that feed on native plants that occur naturally in prairies, such as purple top, little bluestem, switchgrass, and Indian grass. Finally, the northern pearl-eye, another woodland butterfly, feeds on the native shade-loving white cutgrass, butterbrush grass, and Indian wood oats, and sun-loving pumpkin grass. All of these grasses would do well in a sunny backyard mini prairie with colorful prairie flowers mixed in, while those that live in moist woodland areas will be fine under any backyard shade tree. A lot of these plants also provide nutritious seeds and other insects for birds. 1. Clover, black locust, pea, alfalfa, senna, vetch, basically legumes. The legume family feeds an astonishing amount of butterfly species, 8 in total, mostly from the sulfur and skipper families. All these butterflies would probably eat any plant from the legume family, but each has its own preferences. The clouded sulfur prefers clover, pea, and alfalfa. The cloudless sulfur likes cassia species such as senna. Orange sulfur prefers clover and alfalfa. Sleepy orange sulfur likes senna, partridge tree, and wild sensitive plant. The gray hairstreak will eat peas, beans, and clover, but will also eat the previously mentioned plants from the mallow family. The eastern-tailed blue likes clover, alfalfa, and vetch. The silver-spotted skipper prefers black locust and wisteria, and the wild indigo duskuline likes vetch, lupines, and its namesake, wild indigo. If you want to stay as native as possible like me, native alternatives for the few non-native plants on the previous list are purple prairie clover, garnet clover, and buffalo clover instead of non-natives like white clover, bush clovers instead of cultivated beans and peas, prairie clover or bush clover species instead of the introduced and probably problematic alfalfa, similar American wisteria instead of the tree-strangling Chinese wisteria, and bush clover and indigo instead of introduced vetch species. One interesting and fascinating tree from the legume family, which as you heard earlier as a favorite host for the silver-spotted skipper, the black locust, has gigantic clumps of sometimes half-a-foot spines, so it's definitely not a good idea in residential areas. Alfalfa is introduced in some areas and possibly invasive, so best avoid it and instead replaced by native legumes. Besides that, most of these plants should do well in a sunny urban setting, and some, mostly the native ones, will provide flowers for butterflies and hummingbirds and insects for birds.